Welcome to the Alpine Church of Spiritual Living this morning. Good to see all of you here, and know that we appreciate you being here or online. If you're watching this talk later in the day or tomorrow, whenever it is, know that we appreciate you as well. And if you gather and garner any positivity from this message today, we appreciate if you can go on our website and to alpinechurchofspiritualliving.org and hit the donate button and let us know that you appreciate us financially as well. I'm going to read the thought for the week, and if you're in the room, you can join me at the bottom. In the Christian tradition, this Sunday is Palm Sunday. It marks the day Jesus entered Jerusalem, greeted by cheering throngs who would then turn on him a few short days later. Jesus was our way shower. He represented what being divine and human at the same time can be like. So, as we enter this season of spring with newness in the air, let's talk about the downs and ups of life which we all experience. In fact, there are times in life when we can feel as if we are on a roller coaster ride, with a slow and steady chugging uphill, only to reach the pinnacle where we dive down with exhilarated speed. Some people thrive on that sort of excitement, and some are horrified by it. Whether we welcome or despise it, the nature of life brings contrast day in and day out. The lesson to be learned is to take Jesus' lead and example by allowing and letting the flow of life weave its mysterious ways in and through us. This power of life, also known as God, love, and spirit, is all ruling will. Jesus prayed, "Not my will, but thine be done." Time and again, we must lose our life as we know it to be raised up to higher and deeper levels of self-awareness. Father Richard Rohr calls it falling upward. Are you experiencing a dark night of the soul now? Are you free falling downward? It may not feel good, but if so, now is a time to bolster your faith in the goodness of life. Now is a time to be pliable and teachable. Now is the time to know that Jesus and God have you in their enfolding arms of love and will never leave you. Peace be unto you as you look and discover the silver lining lying in quiet repose. Say with me, I realize no matter what life brings me, I am fully loved and supported. I raise my vision for the greater yet to be and am at peace. Well, we don't have palm fronds this morning since we are experiencing, oh, Betty, you've got palms. Thank you, dear. Palm Sunday is the beginning of Holy Week in the Christian tradition. And this tradition coming up in this week, this is the beginning of it, is a drama, really, of life and how Jesus was changed from the Christ and from Jesus himself, the man, human, to the Christ in full. I think it's important that we remember and recognize that Jesus never told us to worship me. What he said, though, time and time again, repeatedly, was follow me. And that's why we, as metaphysical Christians, believe that Jesus is our way shower, our example, that he showed us how we all can be both human and divine in our activities and our affairs of life. So today the topic is downs and ups, the downs and ups of life, that is. I would think if we were going to classify Palm Sunday, it would be an up. He was greeted with the throngs that were calling him king, and yet he was unmoved by this. In fact, he came in on a lowly donkey. He wasn't allowing his ego to be inflated by the throngs of people who wanted to worship him. That, to me, is a subtle but important element in our Palm Sunday celebration. Remember last month, we went through the whole month and we talked about the fruits of the Spirit, which are love and joy, peace and patience, gentleness and goodness, faith, meekness, and self-control. Ego is not found in any of those. Jesus, I believe, was demonstrating his faith in allowing what was going to be transpiring to transpire. He had quiet acceptance of what was going to happen beyond his immediate circumstances. Father Richard Rohr points out that Mary, his mother, Mary never speaks a word either at the birth or the death of Jesus. He wrote, "Faith is not, first of all, for overcoming obstacles. It is for experiencing them all the way." We will have obstacles in life, no doubt about it. There will be things that happen. There will be downs that happen that we would not choose, that we don't want to go through. But in order to evolve and grow and become deeper in the realization of what and who we are as an infinite spiritual being, that is part of the game of life. That's part of what we need to go through, and yet we need to keep our gaze higher than what we are going through at the moment. A friend of mine made a plaque, oh my gosh, when I moved into my house, which is now 6 years ago. And it's very simple, and I put it on my bureau so I can see it. It just says, "Trust me, period, God." Trust me, God. Very simple. But it's something to remember, that we can trust that who and what we are is absolutely given everything that we have need of. God is always faithful, for God cannot disown God's own self. God is always faithful, for God cannot disown God's own self. We are the life of God living in this earthly plane. God is in and through each and every one of us. We call that grace. Grace is something that is given to us without any sort of requirement, because God loves us. God loves itself, us, and all of us. So remember, if you are going through a dark night of the soul, you may not be doing it now, but you have in the past, and you will be going to do it in the future, that hope and love are always with you, and that God's grace can bring you through everything. Meister Eckhart, he lived from 1260 to 1327, wrote, "The eye through which I see God is the same eye through which God sees me." We are one and the same with this divine presence. And the more we are humble and meek and pliable and available to allowing God's will to be going through our activities, through our relationships, through our decisions, the highest and best will come forth for us. One of the phrases that is used most frequently throughout the whole Bible, and you've heard me say this more than once, "And it came to pass." My friend Connie Davis, I don't know if some of you remember Connie back in the day. Connie Davis said, "It came to pass. It didn't come to stay." That is the truth of life. It will pass. Whatever it is, it's not gonna stay. It came to pass. The good times and the bad times. It's all in a matter of our perspective, isn't it? We live actually in the eternal now. Now is the only time that life is existing. And so we need to clarify, honey, I have almost a 5-year-old here with me today. You'll be 5 on April 10th, huh? Thank you, dear. Well, we have been, for several months now, probably more than a year or so, we've been playing, working, dealing, learning with this idea of letting go, letting it pass, right? And so Richard Rohr, I read him every morning. He's got a daily read, and there's just some really good gems in there. He says, welcoming the pain and letting go of your oppositional energy against suffering will actually free you from it. It is like reversing your engines. Who would have thought this? It is your resistance to things as they are that causes most of your unhappiness. At least, I know it is for me. Honey, we're going to be finished here in a little while, okay? And then we could go fly the kite, okay? So this is a day of rejoicing. This is a day to allow God's goodness to shine through us, to feel that divine energy and that light flowing literally through us. This past week, we've been having so much rain, which has been wonderful. But last Tuesday, no, I see some heads shaking now.
Not the ones that were snowed in.
Oh, it snowed in, true. But last Tuesday, we took a drive down to Anza Borrego, and oh my gosh, it was just beautiful. We saw the colors, the blossoms, in the fields. Take Coyote Canyon is what you want to go to see the flowers. They're all mile after mile, really, and they're purples and yellows and whites. And it's just amazing when you think about how beautiful that desert can be transformed when really you think, gosh, it's just it's a desert. What are you going to do with a desert? God and beauty shows up everywhere when we look for it. So if you're going through a dark night of the soul, keep your eye on the horizon. Keep your eye knowing that this too shall pass. When we need to weather storms, we need to listen to the captain of our ship. And I wanted to share with you one of the readings. Another one of my daily reads is Walking in Grace. It's a guidepost. And I thought this one was fabulous. It's written by a guy named Buck Storm. And it starts with a quote from the Bible, John 10:27. My sheep hear my voice. My daughter and boats don't get along. I was proud of her when she handled the passage from Kauai to the smaller Hawaiian island of Nahu. I don't know how to say that. But when the trip back got rough, I could see her struggling. The captain's voice came over the speakers. It's getting choppy out here, folks. A little advice. Stay on deck and keep your eyes on the horizon. I sighed as a dozen lime green tourists ignored this good advice and headed below to find a bench to lie on. What should I do? My daughter asked. I put my arm around her, exactly what the captain said. Also, put your fingers in your ears. Will that help me feel better? Trust me. She did, just in time to block out the inevitable and horrible sounds coming from the bench below. Are you like me, ridden a squall or two in your life? And we know what to do. Listen to the captain. It's easy for me to shake my head at clueless tourists who didn't listen to the captain, yet how many times have I ignored my captain's voice and found myself miserable and suffering on some self-imposed bunk? My daughter made it back to port in fine shape. As for me, I came away with a nice heavenly reminder. I'll be keeping my face to the wind and my eyes on the horizon. And if I put my fingers in my ears, it'll only be after the captain speaks. And he ends it with, praise you, God. You alone are my captain. You are the master of the waves. We need to remember that master, that captain, is always within us, asking us to listen for the guidance that he has to give us. We are never alone. I want you to remember, like I put in the thought for the week, that God and Jesus have us in their enfolded arms of love. That we are love and that they are love, and they will never let us go. One of the songs that the MLK choir sings is Hold On to His Hand. I thought about bringing it so that we could listen to it today, but it just goes on and on and on. But that song, and we usually end our concerts with it, that song is so moving to me. Of course, and I'm in the front row because I'm short. I cannot get through that song without crying. It just fills me with so much gratitude. And there I am standing there, with my tears falling down my face. Because hold on to his hand. Clouds may rise, but hold on to his hand. Know that whatever struggles we have, whatever downs we're going through, that there is something greater within us, around us, that is giving us everything that we have need of at that moment. So I ask you to go forth from this day, knowing that you are always divinely guided. When you keep your eyes on the horizon and listen to your captain, holding on to God's hand, Jesus' hand, you will make it through every storm. Namaste.